Hello, everyone. So thank you for joining today's webinar. We'll be getting started now. My name's Daniela, and I am part of the Oxford College of Marketing team here. I'd just like to preface that the webinar is being recorded and will be sent out afterwards. And I'm sure that most of you will know by now, but just in case, today we have Martech Club, which is hosted by Robin. This session will be on GA4, Unlocking Insights for Marketers. And just in case you haven't met Robin, she's a self-proclaimed nerd who was put on this earth to help organizations and individuals understand their marketing data, demystify Martech, and make complicated things more accessible. Well, first, how this will kind of begin is that Robin will have a presentation, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end, or you can always drop them into the chat as well. We're more than happy to make the session as interactive as possible. It's completely up to you guys, but feel free to drop those in the chat. Anyways, I'll let Robin take over from here.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Okay, so today is all about GA4. We're going to go through it. We're going to see what it is, how we use it, and the impact that AI has actually had on this platform that we all have available to start to understand what is actually happening on our websites, on our apps, on our sales funnels, into our digital spaces. It is going to be a filled session full of information. I'm going to flit between my presentation and GA4 directly. So it may feel like it's a lot to take in during this hour, but what I will do in the Slack channel that we have, I will pop my notes, I will also pop my presentation, and I also have a lot of additional information for you to kind of work through after this session so that you can actually kind of go through and really start to utilize GA4 in different ways, crack it open if you haven't yet, and kind of really start to understand what is going on in this glorious marketing tech tool that we have access to as marketers. So today is all about GA4. What you can do is, if you have GA4 open, you can kind of go around in your own space while I go through this at the same time. I won't be able to answer incredibly specific questions today, but you can always ask those in the Slack channel kind of moving forward. Okay, let's go. So this is what we will cover today. We're going to go through the introduction to GA4. We're going to look at how to quickly set up and configure that kind of space as soon as you get in there. We're going to look at how to navigate the GA4 interface. We're going to look at how GA4 can support your marketing and your optimization. We're going to look at the various different types of reporting, how to access them within GA4, and then we're going to look at the glorious AI GA4 kind of stuff that's going on as we move into 2025, even though we're already at the end of April, and I have no idea how that has happened. I don't know if anybody else does. Answers on a postcard will be absolutely wonderful. So, does anybody currently use GA4? Is anybody using this to kind of enhance their optimization, to kind of understand what is truly going on? Amazing, Hannah, that's glorious. So GA4 is basically the latest version of Google's web analytics platform. Yeah, it's designed to track and report website and app user interactions. It is a specific tool to understand what is going on in those spaces. And of course, the data that is collected there can then be fed into the other aspects of your marketing technology to allow you to make better decisions on segmentation, on kind of understanding where people come from. But GA4 is a dedicated tool to track and report website and app user interactions. GA4 offers a more holistic and event-driven approach to measuring user behavior across multiple platforms. Yeah, and it leverages advanced machine learning, focuses on privacy first data collection, which is of course incredibly important with all of the changes that are going on with privacy, and provides deeper insights into the entire customer journey. Now, you may have seen that everyone had a little bit of a wobbly as we moved into the GA4 realm. And that was just because it was a different way of tracking and terminology changed. But actually, the benefits that we are seeing now and this kind of bigger world that we are seeing because of GA4 is incredibly positive for organizations and brands moving forward. Okay, so what does GA4 actually do? So GA4 has allowed us to redefine how businesses understand and optimize user behavior with this suite, this collection of powerful new features within GA4. The key things that you can kind of look at here are things like event data. It's like an event-driven data model. So what this means is we have gone from session-based to interaction-based. So GA4 treats every interaction from click to a video play, depending on what you want to track and how important it is for you to track various things within your organization, as a distinct event. Yeah. And what this does is it kind of allows us to have this deeper, more flexible view of how users are actually integrating with our website. So instead of just a session, we now can get into the nitty-gritty of how Margaret is actually using our landing page, our cart, our checkout section, our catalog, our blog section. Yeah. It has gloriously seamless, of course, there are issues sometimes with how data moves within platforms, but the idea is it has seamless cross-platform tracking. So whether users are on your website, your mobile app, or both, what GA4 allows you to now do is stitch that journey together, delivering a unified end-to-end picture of a customer interaction. So we are truly beginning to see that full journey, whereas before we had to kind of hand stitch those moments together, and there was a lot more assumption than there is now within GA4. As we will see when we get into the platform, we have enhanced measurement straight out of the box. Yeah, no extra tagging needed initially. There has some great aspects within that space. And GA4 automatically tracks key actions like page views, scrolling, outbound clicks, site searches, video plays, and file downloads. So straight out of the box, without any knowledge of how to add extra events, to add additional kind of steps, to build a funnel, any of those kind of things, you get a top-down view of actually what is going on in your website at a basic level. You no longer need to have to truly kind of add encoding everywhere, and it gives you this kind of place to start optimizing your website, truly understand how your website is performing for you. So it's wonderful with this kind of out of the box kind of use that it now has. It also has privacy first architecture inbuilt. So as we know, there are stricter and more privacy kind of concerns, laws, regulations, all flowing in to what we need to be able to track, consent, and kind of understand from a user point of view and a marketer's point of view. And GA4 offers robust controls for data collection and retention. So out of the box, there is less of a problem about being compliant with regulations like GDPR and CCPA, which is wonderful. Yeah, it allows us to start in a wonderful place. I will answer your question in a second, Hannah. I have seen it. And also, we get smarter insights with machine learning. So GA4 harnesses Google's AI power to surface predictive insights, such as the likelihood of a user making a purchase. So GA4 is leaning into that predictive world. So we are getting not only what is happening, but what could happen next for those users. So we can make a decision on how we optimize that and move those people through our kind of journeys online. Realistically as well, that lets us act before those opportunities slip away, which is the more information we have, the more views that we have of that, the better we can get our marketing to perform for us, because that's the whole point of marketing at the end of the day, isn't it? That we create something and we want somebody to take an action, often leading them to a website. If you're selling courses, for example, you want to know how long people kind of stay on a certain page because they are showing more intent to purchase. You also have things like what category they are searching for, so you can see what courses are more popular, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So Hannah has asked, if cookies are rejected, is that full journey across multiple platforms still able to be tracked? If so, how does it match the user? So in GA4, if somebody has given very strict consent or rejected everything, you will still get basic information about that person, but it will be non-identifiable. So you'll be able to know where they come from and various different things that they have done, but it will not allow you to retarget, and you wouldn't be able to put them into an audience and things like that. So you still get basic data, but that person is not known to you. And that is where a lot of things like server-side tracking, privacy first, different aspects come in for you to be able to complete that journey for that person. But within GA4, you would lose that kind of acknowledgement of who that person is. They just kind of get absorbed into the unidentifiable kind of data within GA4. So you may be wondering, why am I doing a MarTech session on this? And GA4 is one of the most underutilized MarTech tools out there. Yeah. And it may be a concern about how to use it. It may be that you don't know kind of what it actually allows you to do, or it is very overwhelming when you log in as well. So I'm going to show you how to make it just what you need it to be for you. But GA4 empowers us as marketers because now we have this event-driven model. Yeah, we can dive deeper into user behavior. So instead of just knowing that somebody came onto our website or a session occurred, we can now see exactly when a user watched a product video, when they added a product to cart, when they signed up for the newsletter. And what this does is it enables far more precise targeting. Yeah, so it just gives us a much better view moving forward. We then have this cross-platform analysis. So this consolidation of data is much more powerful for us because we're not having to stitch these journeys together. And that seamless connection gives us a better understanding and optimization. Because we have this predictive element now, because of the machine learning aspect and the enhancement of the AI within the use of GA4, we can predict when users are likely to churn, which segments are likely to generate the most revenue. And if GA4 predicts that a certain audience segment has a high probability of purchasing within 7 days, we can then, as marketers, launch a timely promotional campaign. Yeah, it's all within the insights that this churns out actually automatically without actually having to do anything additional. It also allows us to do things like enhanced audience segmentation. You will have heard me, if you've come to any of the MarTech clubs before, that if the AI continues, we still have accessibility to AI as it kind of continues moving within the MarTech world. Hyper-personalization and creating content that is truly speaking to these miniature segments of these audiences that we've not been able to talk to at mass before, Being able to have enhanced audience segmentation from places like our website is incredibly powerful. And we can do things like build segments of users who viewed a particular product page but didn't complete a purchase. So why didn't they complete a purchase? Do we need to send them out an email if they've logged into our site? Do we need to create a blog that kind of maybe challenges some of the reasons that they may have left? Do we need to change up the content on that site? How would you know that if you don't have access to this data? How would you know where to optimize on your website, what to do, what to move forward with, what to choose as priority if you don't have this type of tracking available? Now, of course, GA4 is just one of these kind of tracking options, but it is free. It is accessible. You can go away and do this, straight after this session, because I'll show you the basics as we move forward. So GA4 wasn't really just an analytics upgrade. It's actually it's a more smarter marketing kind of support system. And because it equips us to deliver more personalized, data-driven and privacy respectful experiences, brands can stand out in this very wonderfully busy, noisy digital world that we're experiencing at the moment. So I think it's incredibly important to minimally be able to log in, check out the different aspects, check out the reports that exist there already, and then start to see how it can impact your strategy moving forward. Because by the end of the session, you'll be able to log in, set up your GA4 if it's not set up already, and be able to see straight away what is currently happening within the websites you support, the websites that you have that are bringing clients to your yard, or the brands that you work within. Or you may feel empowered to then go away and ask for access to the GA4 reports and things like that moving forward. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up GA4 for us. So if you've got any questions as we kind of go through, I will be flitting between my slides and GA4, but I'll try and make it as seamless as possible for you so it's not frustrating. And I have 3 screens, and that seemingly isn't enough for what I need to do. Okay, so let's open up GA4. So you should see my screen now. Yeah. Perfect. So I'm quickly going to tell you how to set up GA4. So what you need is a Google account, and it could be one that's kind of domain connected, or it could just be a Gmail account that you have access to. You need website access, so admin access to your website to add tracking code. You need potentially, as you will see within the rest of this presentation, access to Google Tag Manager. And you also need Google Analytics admin permissions if you are not setting it up and you are being added. So what you need to do is to create your analytics account. You go to analytics.google.com, and then you create or select your account. So what that means is when you log in, oh, my computer has crashed. Of course it has. Okay. So when you log in, you will see that you either need to get access here. You will have either multiple accounts that are linked to you, or you will have create an account if there is nothing here. And then you select your analytics account. So this is my old brand. This is just my testing area. So you either go in and then you click the property. So you may have multiple properties connected to your one account. And this could be if you have domains, subdomains, all of those kind of things. They can all sit within the one account. And then it will reload, and then it will show you your data straight away. And then it always refreshes whenever you log in. So the definitions that you will need to know here are GA4 property. Now, this is your digital asset within Google Analytics that represents your website, app, or any other digital platform that you want to track. It's where we kind of define the data that we want to be connected. Yeah. The GA4 property is only scoped to your business's digital domain. Yeah. Your digital presence. And this property, this one property, so this one property within my account will collect all of the information for www.rkvirtualassistants.com. If you have multiple ones in here, they will not combine. Yeah, you have to select each one efficiently. And that is part of keeping data safe and secure moving forward. So that is what your GA4 digital kind of terminology is all about. So your GA4 property is your digital asset within Google Analytics. So what you then need to do when you've started to set up this is connect your data stream. So your data stream, let me just change where we're getting info from. Your data stream is the place that it's pulling information from. So you have two types of like streams. You have your web data stream, and this collects data from a website, or you have your iOS data stream, and this collects data from an iOS app. Alongside that, you also have your Android data stream. So purely dependent on which kind of operating system your app is based on. And your data streams are used to gather user interaction data from different platforms. This data is then sent to your GA4 property, yeah, where it is processed and made available for your analysis. Yeah. So does that make sense? This allows you to pull the information from your website into GA4 to allow you to move forward with that analysis in that space. Yeah, so you have to configure your data stream when you first input the information. So let's have a navigation. Let's have a look around and see what is kind of happening within this kind of space that we've kind of logged into now. So the first thing you will see is your home dashboard when you kind of come into this space. And this is the first screen you will see when accessing your property. And this encompasses all of your real-time insights. Yeah. So this is an immediate look at things like current users. So you can see here, you can see their locations down here. You can see who's active currently at the moment, and you'll be able to see sessions by primary channel. Now, these are all set as default, so you will immediately be able to see which pages are doing the best, where their information is coming from. Is it coming from direct, organic search, or unassigned? So unassigned could just be that they've denied cookies or that you don't really know. The GA4 can't tell where they come from. So this is kind of your insights. On the left-hand side here, what we then have are our four main areas. So our reports live in reports, of course. And we have various different types here. So we have acquisition. So this is where you would be able to immediately go and have a look on insights on how users are acquired. We then have engagement. So this is where data on user engagement metrics such as page views and event counts live. You have monetization. So if you have a checkout or an e-commerce journey in your website, this is where you will see the information here. And then we have user at the bottom. So this gives you detailed information on user demographics, geographic locations, technology used. And what you can actually do is within this kind of section here is you can find a lot of information. So in the kind of overview, what it does is it takes all of the information acquisition and allows you to see a top-down view of that there. So as you can see, straight away, you will be able to go and get a lot of information straight out of your GA4. Yeah. And this is without you doing any additional kind of updates, inputting any additional events that you want to track, such as button clicks, and you'll be able to kind of get a really good kind of sense of truly what is going on within your systems. Yeah. Now, when you actually kind of implement the tracking directly initially on your website, there is a little piece of code that you will have to put into your website or connect your GA4 to. But when you set this up initially, it will give you all of that information. There is nothing that is kind of hidden or kind of confusing. What you then see here is explore. This is where we kind of start to do data analysis, and I'll go through the explanations with you in a little while. And this is where we set up kind of funnel exploration, sales journeys, path exploration, so you can see why people are not moving forward in these kind of aspects and move that kind of forward. And then, of course, we have advertising. So this is where we link it to our Google Ads and allow the data from GA4 to fuel the kind of segmentation, targeting, and informations within our Google Ads, if that is something you do or you utilize. You don't have to utilize that within GA4 or have access to that, but it's just part of showing the Google ecosystem of how that works and how the data you collect in GA4 can support other aspects of your marketing moving forward. Okay, so I just need to swing back around to my slides. Okay, so that should have changed. Yes. So the next bit of terminology I want to kind of talk you through before we have a look at it is events. And this is one of the new kind of terminology systems that are sitting within GA4. So events are the main way that a user activity is tracked on your website and then sent to GA4. And this is a big change from the older version. And this is because GA4 tracks every interaction, big or small, as an event. So what does that actually mean? Any action a user takes, like clicking a button, is recorded as an event. And then the events help you to see exactly what is actually going on, rather than just a person was on this page. Yeah. And why is this important? This is important for us as marketers is because it changes our mindset around tracking. Because if you think about your website as a whole, it is huge and there is so much somebody could probably do on that website, right? So what you need to be thinking about is, what do we actually need to be tracking within GA4 to truly kind of understand if our marketing is working? Yeah. So is it downloads of a PDF? Great. That is one of the main things you would track. If that is important, you may not want to track things like how long somebody was on a page, because what often happens is we collect too much data that is noisy within these kind of platforms, and we can't truly see what is actually going on within the kind of data that we actually need to see, the data that supports the KPIs that let us know if we're actually achieving X, Y, or Z within our marketing, right? So this flexibility allows us to customize to track almost anything we want. Sign up button, view a product detail page, play a promotional video, downloads PDF. And these events need to be linked to the reason we have the website or that marketing campaign in the first place. So when I say that we need to change our mindset now, it's like, what do we actually need to know about what a person is actually doing that leads them to complete the sales funnel, the process, the journey that we have put them on? Yeah, exactly. So Is it best to set these events up in GTM or directly on GA4? It depends. As with every glorious one of my answers. For simplicity, and if you can, it's great to keep them all in GA4. But if you have something where you're, for example, tracking an e-commerce website that's got thousands of products, thousands of variations, that is probably better to track within something like Google Tag Manager or a different tag manager, realistically, because it's a way for you to organize your tags. That's what Google Tag Manager is. But if you can keep it simple and all within GA4, I always recommend doing that first, just to get the flow of the data where you need it to go. So there are different types of events in GA4. The first one we have is those automatically connected events. So that is where the reports that I showed you, that is where all of that information sits and goes to when we think about GA4. And this is things like those kind of first session visit, the session start, they are automatically all stored within those reports. So I'm going to go back into GA4 so you can kind of just make sure you recognize where that information goes. So when we go into the reports, all of the data that is associated, there we go. All of the data that's associated in here is tracked automatically, for example. Yeah. So when we look at the overview, these are things that are naturally tracked. You don't have to go in and add these. These are automatically there for you within all of those different processes. Things like your user attributes, your demographic details, where people have come from. That is where they are all situated. So that's what I mean, that we've got this out of the box usability, which we don't always have with technology like this, like tracking technology. My laptop is threatening to collapse, so my mouse is on a go slow, so that's why it's just flying around the different screen. So let's go to the next process here. Oh, then the next type of event that we have are custom events. So these are events you create to specifically track interactions that are not covered by the automatically collected, enhanced, or recommended events. And these are the events that allow us to tailor tracking to the unique needs of our business. So custom events for an e-commerce store, for example, could be a specific product name view, things like a specific product ID. If you're selling courses, it could be a specific course ID. If you're selling a discovery call, that's the kind of base that you want to do. It could be that specific Calendly link that you utilize if people click on that, and things like that in those kind of spaces. So it's that specific action that is specific to your business's journey. That is what we want to be adding here. For example, it could also be if somebody pins or bookmarks something. It could be if they add it to a wish list. It could be if somebody removes a product from a cart. These are enhanced, specific event details that are related to the specific process that you are looking at. Yeah. So that is what the different kind of process is for that moving forward. So how do we add a specific custom event directly in GA4? So what we do is we log in, we've kind of got into the process, and instead of going into these sections here, what we want to do is click the gear icon here. Yeah, and this brings us up all of our information about our account. So what we then want to do is, if we go into data display, we then want to go into key events here. And what this allows you to do is to create or modify past ones that we've kind of created moving forward. So what we can do is, if we create event, and then if you want to, you can just ask, you can just search. So if I do something like, let's do a thank you page visit. Yeah. Oh, you know that my spelling's rubbish when I go quick. Yeah. So what we then do is we fill out this information. So you basically custom event name. Now this has to be something that you can understand, because that is how it will come out in your reports. The amount of times I've gone in and different people use different ways to monitor and kind of understand the different processes within that section. And you have to have a library of how you're going to all agree, if it's more than one of you doing this, of how you're going to name things. Yeah, moving forward. So I'm just going to do thank you page visit. But this could be anything. So it could be PDF download on 5 ways. Whatever your PDF is named, I would add it into this section here. So what is our parameter? Now, the parameter is the definitions of the condition that we want GA4 to actually record that information about. So it's going to be basically an event name, and we want it to equal to or not equal to a visit. Yeah. Now, the way that you set these up is dependent on the way that your website has named its pages, its buttons, and I will send a full guide on how to do this. Yeah, this is just showing you where to do it today, just so you know where to do that. And then you will have to go and do the referencing against the directory of how you link those events to your website. Yeah. So then we press create. So now I have basically told GA4 that I want them to check out my thank you page. Yeah, it'll take a while to show here, but these are some of the other ones that have kind of been set up. So if we look at the modifying the events, oh no, it's not going to let me because it's crashing. But basically what you can then do is, if you want to change and update any of these, you do that within the modify event section. Whenever you release a new campaign and a campaign ends, stop the tracking for the old campaign. Go in and change it, turn it off, because all you're doing is adding to the overwhelm that sits within your GA4. If tracking is no longer purposeful because you don't need to track that anymore, stop tracking it. Yeah. So obviously make sure that somebody is going in and you are updating and kind of understanding what is being tracked, where that data is going, and all of that information. So the way that we did that was we went into admin, we went into our data display, because we are telling GA4 what data we want it to recognize and display for us. Go into your events, and then we created the events here. Yeah. So that is how you kind of start tracking your specifically different kind of processes. So what we're going to look now at is the reports and the different types of reports that we have access to. So I'm going to show you the ones out of the box, and then also how to make your own moving forward. So in essence, in GA4, a report is a structured collection of data and insights that help us to understand how users interact with the website. And the reports are designed to be a moment in time. That is something to remember. They are a moment in time, a snapshot of what is happening. So what is also great to remember is if you are downloading a report and then you're not utilizing that data for a week, a month, it's always best to go back in and get the newest version of that report. Yeah. So as we kind of go through and understand how to navigate this, we go into our home section and then into our reports, and they are all in this area here. Yeah. And then all of the reports that are for specifically already tracked, recommended, or your events will be within this section here. Yeah. So the different kind of reports that you have access to have different reasons for existing. Yeah. So the acquisition report, so this report here, this shows how users find our site, including data on traffic sources such as organic search, paid social, social media, direct traffic, and referrals. It helps us to identify which channels are most effective in bringing new users to your site. Who joined TikTok? Because everybody joined TikTok. Yeah, I bet there's a lot of people going, yeah, we all did that as brands. Have you actually seen how much TikTok moves people to your website or moves people to an action? No, this is a great way to have a look at that. Yeah. What we then have is we have engagement. So this is how the users interact with our website moving forward. My mouse is not playing ball. There we go. Technology is wonderful when it works. And this focuses on how users interact. So metrics like page views, sessions, events, engagement rate. You can see which screens and pages are most popular, how long users stay, and which actions they take. So that is what happens all within this space here. And we have monetization. And this is where if you have transactions, this report tracks revenue related metrics and kind of what is happening where, what is the most popular product, what people are purchasing. Is your GA4, your Facebook ad, your social ad driving people to purchase through that button link? Those kind of things all happen here. And then we also have retention, which is a really interesting one. So this is how well we retain our users on our websites over time. So user retention rates, returning users, and user loyalty. This helps us to understand how engaging and how sticky our content is. How do we bring people back, and which factors are contributing to user retention? So already that's a lot of information realistically that you can utilize straight away to make bigger and better changes. And they're crucial because what this shows you is your complete user journey. It identifies key touch points and optimizes your marketing strategy. And we want to be doing these things better: acquisition, engagement, monetization, retention, right? So this data allows us to kind of move forward with that and be better at understanding what is truly actually going on within those spaces. So what we're then going to have a quick look at is something called GA4 Explore reports. And this is a powerful feature. So this lives within this section here. Yeah, so this is what it looks like, but I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint. So this section is where we get a deeper understanding of what is truly going on. Yeah, this allows us to do data analysis directly within GA4. We have different types of exploration, which are ready out of the box. And you can go in there and start to create reports for yourself, for C-suite, for founders, for your clients, directly about what is going on within the domains, the spaces, the apps that you are working within. So freeform exploration, this is the most flexible exploration and allows you to drag and drop dimensions and metrics to create custom tables and charts across those different areas, exploration, engagement, and those kind of things. It's ideal for ad hoc analysis. Yeah. And what it does is it means you can create specific versions with the data that you need to be kind of highlighted and tracked. You can create segments in here. So what that allows you to do is you can segment the data, the audiences, the information that is pulled into these. So you're not pulling all of your user information. You are just pulling ones for specific time, for example, specific data sources. So if they're coming from organic or non-organic, and then it allows you to have different reports to compare as well. So it's really wonderful. You can't break GA4. So go in, have a play and see what kind of sticks out to you moving forward. One thing to note is that your analysis hub reports are only visible to your login. So what this means that is if you want to share a report to different aspects of your team, you need to make sure that you share the report. So there's a little share icon in the top right hand corner. And then other users who have access to the property will be able to also see it as well within their reporting. You can also do this with clients that you have access to their GA4. So it just allows you to start centralizing that kind of comparisons and move that kind of strategy forward with the data that you're kind of collecting within your GA4. We then have funnel exploration. And this tool helps you to visualize the steps users take to complete a task on your site or app. It's useful for identifying where users drop off in the conversion process. So what you need to do here is select this process within the Explore and then dive into the different step names. So you know the different touch points that you have put in for your specific sales funnel. Yeah. So do they go to this page first and then they have to go to a find out more? Do they have to go to a booking stage? And then you set those out within the exploration funnel. And one thing to note is that users are only counted in the steps they complete in the specified sequence. If a user misses a step, they fall out of the funnel. So you'll see steep drop-offs, and then you'll be able to start to work and understand why somebody isn't going to the next page, why they're only staying on the home page. Because if they're only staying on the home page and they're not making it to the next one, you can go and see their events. Yeah, go and have a look at what that person has actually done. If they're only staying for like less than a second, bless me. If they're only staying for less than a second on your page, they're not even scrolling, they're not moving down the page, they're probably not that interested. Why are they not that interested? Where did they come from? What drove them here? Did they come from organic search? Or did they come from social? Oh, they came from social. So this is the post that brought them here. They went to the home page, but there was a disconnect. Why was that disconnect? And if there's a big percentage of that happening, your social content isn't aligned with what people expect to find on your website. So you can start making the changes so that when they come from that source and they come to that website, they start in that funnel, they're at step 1 of that funnel. If they're not moving to step 2, you can then make the decisions and make the changes to enhance that journey moving forward. And that's the key thing here. We then have exploration types. So this lets you analyze the paths that users take. Yeah, so you can see the sequence of pages or screens that they visit. So this is a little bit different from the traditional funnel you expect them to do. This actually shows them what they're actually doing. And this helps you to understand their actual user behavior and their actual journey patterns. Yeah. And when conducting things like path analysis in GA4, it's important to have clear objectives because we want to be focusing on key events and pages that matter most to our goals. What you may find is that half of your website is actually redundant when you're actually looking at what you actually want to track. And then you can start to streamline your content, make it easier, make it less daunting for somebody to work through. when you are kind of deciding which exploration type to go through, the best way that I can explain this to you is to go and have a look, because each one does a different thing for you as a brand, as an organization, as a marketer. And each different view of this data that is collected either automatically or encompasses the data that you have set up as events allows you to get the view that you need to know if your marketing is working or not. That is as simple as it is. Yeah. Within the notes that I will send with this session, there is much more information about how to set up these different types of things. It's just that we've only got 1 hour to try and blast through GA4. So for example, within this exploration type, I've actually written the steps on how to set that up, and the previous one, the steps of how to like move forward with that as well. The information, there's different terminology. So if you were very used to using universal analytics, there are different terminology when it comes to GA4. So there's a couple of slides within this deck that allows you to see the differences within that terminology, because it may be quite frustrating when you can't find what you're looking for, and it's purely just because it's named something different within GA4. You can also build glorious audiences in GA4, and its advanced segmentation enable the creation of highly specific audience segments based on user actions, demographics, and engagement levels. And then with a strong emphasis on things like platform machine learning and data privacy and compliance, you can then actually directly utilize those segments to make decisions elsewhere. So for example, when we kind of build an audience with GA4, we basically are putting parameters in to define segments of our data, so we can get a top-down view of what a certain group of people are doing in a certain way with our digital assets. So I have given you the way to build an audience here. But an example, I want to kind of take this out of the kind of textbook kind of stuff, is if you are looking at things like high value cart abandoners. So if people are abandoning cart quite a lot for your high ticket item, the marketing purpose that we would want to look for is that, so these are the people who have added high value items to the cart, but they didn't complete the purchase. And what we want to do is encourage them to return and actually complete their purchase. So we can build that audience in GA4 so that we can see the impact of the changes we make, but also see, for example, where they're falling off in the funnel, where we need to add more information or less information within the process, those kind of things. So you would set up your GA4 property if you hadn't already. You would navigate to your audience section and click configure, and then you would use these kind of terms. So we would define that audience by things like their condition 1, users who added high volume items to cart, and then you would select the right event that goes with that. And then another condition you can add is users who did not complete the purchase. So what we're tracking in this audience is those who have added it, but then not purchased, because it's all well and good knowing who has. That's a bit of a vanity metric. It's not very useful, but we want to know those people who haven't. We combine those conditions, and then we allow ourselves to use that audience within our explorations. So then we can pull all the data from the various events in regards to those audiences and truly see what is going on. And I've written out all of those steps of how you can do that. You can go away and have a try of that. And by following these steps, we can then create this targeted audience of high value cart abandoners and help us to re-engage those users, because they are the most likely to bring significant value to our business, for example. So you could do this for people who book a discovery call but don't attend. You could do it for people who sign up to your email but never open. all those kind of things to understand what is truly going on. And just as I get to the very end, there's some amazing ways that GA4 is integrating with AI. So we do the things like anomaly detection. So if there's something or very quickly not happening the way it should on your website, it can kind of showcase that to you. Smarter audience segmentation, predictive analytics, so we get those better conversions, and of course our enhanced kind of commerce insights. The AI that is sat within GA4 isn't just about reporting what happened, it's about predicting what's next, yeah, and giving you the opportunity to truly understand how to move those things forward. And I'll just show you one more thing before we get to the end of the session, which has gone incredibly quickly, actually. So what you can do to start benefiting from the AI kind of insight straight away is, if you are still unsure of where to find things, and GA4 is still unsure of logging in and kind of showing me the place, is actually there's a little magical button that sits up here, and it's a little insights button which is powered by AI. It's just chilling here. So what you can do here is you can ask intelligence, like talk to it like ChatGPT, and have a look at various different things. So how many users did I have last week? It will automatically pull all of that for you and then show you the information there, for example. Okay, that was a lot of information and I apologize. But I really hope that it gives you the kind of ability to go away and start to try and use GA4 in multiple ways.
Thank you, Robin. Just in case, would you mind popping the Slack link in the chat or
Yes,
a place that's visible? Just because I think one or two students asked for it earlier at the beginning of the webinar. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been great having you all on board today for your lunch times. We always feel honoured. I've dropped a few links in the chat in case you are interested in any of our qualifications that we offer. Like I said, with the Oxford College of Marketing. So we offer a host of qualifications from the CIM, DMI. We have longer qualifications, long form, or we have shorter courses. One that we recommend typically for our students on the Martech Club is the Level 6 Accredited Award in AI Marketing. You can start for any time, and it can take around 6 weeks to complete if you do it distance learning. So it's a great way to get your foot in the door with obviously a buzzword topic that's kind of going around at the moment. If you'd like to speak to me or a member of my team at the inquiries team, you can always book a one-to-one via our link. And what that means essentially is that you get to have a chat about what qualifications we offer, if there's anything that's best suited to you at the stage of your career progression right now, or if you're looking into anything in particular. And you can always also join us at our virtual open evening, which will be for the next summer intake, and that will be on June 26th. So it'd be lovely to see you all there. But yes, so we have lots of people in the chat saying it's a great overview from Danielle. Karina said thank you for the overview as well, and I'm aware that I think Hannah wanted the Slack link, so we've got that in there for you as well. So yeah, until the next one, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much. I know it was a lot, but please have a go and get back to me in Slack if you've got any more questions. That's not a problem.
Definitely. I look forward to it, Robin.
Speak to you soon, Daniela. Bye, everyone.
Bye.